I wait for this guy 2 minutes. I was like, it's okay, the people take longer. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then it actually started hitting me that something was not working. Hello everyone, my name is Maxx Ian Murimi. I am a graduate quantity surveyor and the director of Brick and Allied Contractors Limited. And you're watching Senses Africa with Evie Bangsad. I was born in the year 1996 to Mr. and Mrs. Murimi in Kirinyaga County. And I'm the last born in a family of 3. I have 2 elder sisters, so technically I'm the baby in the house. So I spent a few years in Kirinyaga, specifically Kerugoya. Did the early part of my education, and then as nature had it, we moved back home, where I actually come from, Chuka, Tharaka County, and this is where I spent most of my formative years. So growing up, I went to a couple of schools, but I did my KCPE exam in a school in Chogoria Boys Boarding, and later moved on to Meru School in Meru County. So I've technically been around Meru for the better part of my education. Later moved to the Technical University of Kenya to study quantity surveying, and I graduated in the year 2018. After that, I then moved on to the University of Nairobi after working with my parents again in their family business. I moved to the University of Nairobi to take a Master of Arts in Project Planning and Management, and this has formed the core of my career today. So growing up, I have so many fond memories, but one thing that really stood out in my childhood or throughout my life is that I happen to come from a family of entrepreneurs. So growing up, we had to be doing something. So one would ask, why quantity surveying as a career option? And for me, the answer is quite simple. I think quantity surveying gives one the opportunity to handle the finances in any construction project. So after I did my Form 4, or actually in my first year of study, I moved back home and got engaged in a construction project with my dad, who at that time was also doubling up as a contractor. And this gave me the excitement of having to work in a construction company, and I got to feel the impact of my career because I got to be in charge of the finances. I got to be in charge of the construction budget at a very, very early stage. And so I have always wanted to pick the monetary part of construction and practice as a key player in this industry. At around 2018, upon graduation, I also got to manage a few projects here and there, and then decided now to go and master management. That is why I decided to take the path of project planning and management. And it is around this time that Brick and Allied Limited, which is a construction company in which I am the director, was born. And I actually enjoy practicing what I learned in school and what I've learned in the field as a graduate quantity surveyor, as a project planner, project manager. And these career choices have really played a big part in the forming of what Brick and Allied is today. Brick and Allied is a construction company that was incorporated on the 30th of May 2020 at the height of COVID. So this was a time when we never knew what to do with our lives, most of us, and me in particular. But I happened to have been involved in a pro bono project that really shaped or informed the decision to want to start a construction company. So looking back, the main motivation to start Brick and Allied was because I had tried accessing a contractor and I couldn't. And so I thought to myself, why not start a construction company? Then at that time it looked like a very big task, and true, it was a very big task. And the registration part was not the hard part. The hardest part was actually being able to roll out this company and to get jobs for the same. So one may also wonder, why Brick and Allied? Brick and Allied, the brick in Brick and Allied is to symbolize the construction aspect of it. You see bricks and bricks are synonymous with construction. And then the allied is for any other business that is allied to construction, say supply of materials, say manufacturing and whatnot. Anything that comes or comes with construction or that is allied to construction. So at Brick and Allied, we are majorly involved in the construction of buildings. This may either be ground-up construction or even repairs and renovation works. We basically define ourselves as a one-stop shop for construction. We work hand in hand with different consultants in the industry. We are also regulated by the National Construction Authority to be able to deliver quality buildings or quality services to our clientele. We have grown and gotten to work with a couple of clients since 2020. We have been working with the Ministry of Education to develop schools and institutions. We've also handled projects that are owned or where the client is a church. We've also developed projects for individual developers. So within a very short period of time, we've been able to amass significant experience in this industry. And we've also had a fair share of challenges. We've had to work in very strenuous environments, more so with construction being a very capital-intensive field. But looking back, we are grateful to have been engaged in this project. We're also grateful to have had very cooperative clients. So when we started out, we had our offices in Chuka. We also do have our offices in Chuka as we speak. That is in Kenyan Building, Chuka Town. But as we speak, we have also expanded to Nairobi and its environs. And so we have offices along the Eastern Bypass, Kamakis, RFH Building, and you can also find a liaison building in Westlands. And we are looking to expand to be able to reach other people. But Nairobi has given us a very good opportunity to be able to serve the rest of the country properly. The biggest challenge in the construction field now, more so as a contractor, is that you'll find that the construction field is still a big boys club. And by big boys club, I mean that it is still dominated by the players who were there yesterday. And as a young person trying to get into this field, it's quite hard because there is no day that you will walk or drive along Thika Road and find a construction job advertised on a billboard. So one of the challenges is being able to actually get these jobs. The second challenge is being able to execute these jobs. But then the beauty about it is that there is no monopoly of ideas in this industry. So if you're bold enough and you're actually courageous enough to take whatever you believe is yours, you'll definitely do well. The other challenge is that for developers, it is quite hard to come up with a building that is cost intensive and still achieve quality. So the issue of cost and quality is still a big question in the industry, because you may pay less, but then get something that is not worth your money. You may also pay more and actually not get value for your money. So I think we in the construction industry should strive towards giving developers and clients value for what they pay. We should also try and look for cost-intensive ways of being able to deliver projects to our clientele. And this is a conversation that we need to strike in the industry. And possible solutions are there, they just need to be explored. And at Brick and Allied, we really strive to ensure that we give value for money to each and every one of our clients through the methods that we run our sites using, through the construction technologies that are out here ready to be explored. And at the end of the day, we believe that if we achieve a project within the desired costs and within the prescribed standards of quality, we will have won and the client will have won as well. My lowest point in life. So in 2019, I had just moved back to the city from Chuka to try and figure my life out. And my entry point at this point was tertiary education, master's to say. So I actually came to the city and I didn't have much to do. I was just a full-time student. I just come from managing projects back home, and at the back of my mind I knew that I am a contractor per se, and I knew that contractors are big boys out here. But then I come to Nairobi and nobody seems to know who I was. And I actually went through the last quarter of 2019 having been a very confused person. But then as fate would have it again, fortunes changed, and in the beginning of 2020, things started looking up. I'm a very aggressive person, so to say. So I started looking for alternatives in life, and I actually landed a construction deal. But this time I was to act as a material supplier. So the site was in Katani. Katani is in Syokimau. It was a significant project. I had amassed a few coins here and there from a few side hustles and so on, and I had some little money to invest in this venture. This is something that I had not done before. I had actually done it previously, but had never soloed on such a project before. So I had a project here, and I had to figure out how to raise funds or to rally funds for this. And so I take on the project. I was very excited. I come back to my house and I actually list down and the products that I was supposed to deliver. I do the math, I do the budgets, I look at the prices that I'll supply these things for or at, and the returns were good, and I was like, yeah, now this is what I really want to do. I have finally found my purpose in life. And I go ahead and look for somebody who had a hardware shop around Katani, and we get to negotiate, actually get good rates. The guy who had given me the job was actually paying quite well, so to say. And that was it, and I knew I was in business. So around this time, it was around the 15th of March, and if you remember quite well, the first case of COVID was reported on Friday the 13th of March 2020. So I'm out and about and telling myself that COVID will not be a problem, and that it has actually come as a blessing for me, because I was not feeling the impact that everybody was saying that COVID would have had. So it's like, it's still bright here. I'm actually at the end of my tunnel, because I've had a very dark period in the previous year. So moving forward, I set on to work on the subcontract that I had. So everything worked well. I then got to a point where we were supplying the masonry blocks, and I moved to Ndarugo. So my friend drove me to Ndarugo, and we actually got somebody who told us that they could sell us these masonry blocks for a competitive rate, actually at a competitive rate. And I was so excited. I was making my first purchase, and we met this guy by the roadside around I think Korahia, and we went down to the quarries. We actually drove for quite some time, and on the way he was telling us how the business is lucrative, about how we should invest in such ventures because that is free money. Apparently you get to dig up money from the ground or something. And so we go to the quarry, and he introduced me to the quarry manager, who was also a very young person, and he told us that the quarry was a dad's. So that also got me excited, because I was looking at this young guy and I'm like, so young people are doing big things out here, so it can be done. And so I got excited, and they showed me around. They actually gave me samples of blocks to choose from. I got to choose. They told me that this goes for this price, this is the highest quality, goes for this price. I got to choose to look at the colors as well, and I finally made my decision. And amidst that excitement, I told my friend that he can now leave. I'm in safe hands. We've already concluded the business. All I need to do is just pay, and we'll deliver these blocks with the lorries that are delivering them now to Katani. And before he left, he told me, just make sure that you don't pay before they deliver. And then I was like, no problem. I'm in safe hands. I'm a big boy now. I'm in business. I can handle myself. So safe journey. Let me know when you get home. And we were left. And at that moment, we did the math. And these people actually told me you do not need to pay the entire amount in full. So part of me is, I'm a very trusting person, and that has worked to my advantage and to my disadvantage in equal measure. So in this time, or at this point, I happen to trust these people a little too much. and I sent part of the down payment. It was around 40,000 shillings. 40,000 shillings for somebody who has just come from the deepest part of their lives, from the darkest part in life, financially, mentally, and all that. So I sent them the deposit. Part of this money that I was using to supply had been sourced from my parents. It had actually been loaned to me. So the bulk of the money was not mine. I had sunk some of this money into previous supplies, and now I think I was supposed to pay a significant amount for the masonry blocks. And I actually paid, and it was around 6:45. So after I paid, they told me that they are going to work on the dispatch. So there were two guys with me. So the quarry manager and the broker who had taken us to the quarry manager. So the quarry manager went to clear my lorry load, and we were left with the broker. So after the quarry manager walked away, after around 5 minutes of a very indulgent conversation with the broker, he excused himself to take a call of nature. And you know how quarries are. They're bushy and you have holes everywhere, like deep excavated points and all. So I wait for this guy 2 minutes. I was like, it's okay, but people take longer. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it actually started hitting me that something was not working. So I looked around, darkness had already set in, and I started looking for this guy. I traced the path to where he was, and I could not see him. And then I started panicking. I walked down to where the lorries were, and I found some watchmen there, and they told me, and I asked them, where is the quarry manager? And they asked me, who is the quarry manager? Apparently he had given me some name. He told me that his name was Victor. So I was like, where is Victor? And then they asked me in Swahili, Victor ni nani? Who is Victor? So I tell them, Victor is the guy who owns this place. Victor's father actually owns this place, with a lot of confidence. And then they told me, hakuna mtu kama huyo. We do not know who that is. We have never seen such a person. And then one of the watchmen was kind enough to tell me, there are people who con people around this place, and I think you have been conned. So hurry up and go to the nearest police station. So I'm in Juja, in the middle of nowhere. I'm actually so far from Juja. I'm off Thika Road. I'm like 10 kilometers off Thika Road, and I do not know where I am. There is no means of transport from where I was, apart from borders. This place is a quarry with no people inside. I couldn't even see homesteads around that place. And I got confused, and my world got dark and silent for a moment. And I thought I had it together, and in 1 minute and in the next moment, I had none of it. And so I had to figure out how to get to the tarmac. I called my brother-in-law. He came, picked me up. We reported the matter to the police in Juja. And so to say, little was done to date. We actually never got to get the guy, but that was just one law, because after that, I think the lockdown followed, and it became very hard to access the payments from this site. I think the site also had other contractual issues. The client fell out with the contractor, so I actually ended up losing a significant amount of money that I had saved up for quite some time, and the bulk of which had been borrowed. So technically, I was not in business and I was in debt. But then God forgiving African parents, because the debt was written off later on. So in the follow-up of that Juja incident, I couldn't go back to my place. So I went to my sister's place and I slept for the first night. And on the second day, now COVID had started hitting hard, and measures were coming. Everybody was talking about how deadly this thing is. Sanitizer had actually run out of stock, and there was a crisis everywhere. And the next course of action was to go back home. So here I had left home a few months ago, like 6 months back, with very high hopes that I'm coming to the city to shake things up, and you know, I actually wanted to go back home, an established business person, but here I was going back home, a very devastated young man. But I actually went back home and spent quite some time at home doing nothing for like 2-3 weeks. And then one day my dad walks up to me and says, there is this project that we had been involved in earlier, and he tells me that you don't have to spend your days sleeping. Whatever has happened has happened, and we are looking at a situation where we do not know what the outcome will be. But while we still can, I think you can make yourself useful in the project. So I had been involved in this project earlier, so getting in was not quite hard. So I went there as a volunteer, and we started reshaping how construction would happen. So previously I had set my mind on being a material supplier, but then as I got involved in this work on site, it got to hit me that we can do things differently. And then one day we were working, and one of the fundis walks up to me and tells me, "Suanzishe kampuni," I'll quote unquote here, "Suanzishe kampuni ndio pia sisi tusikose kazi." He was telling me to start a construction company so that we can ensure that this job is always, we maintain continuity in the projects that we have. And then that hit me. And for quite some time I toyed with the idea, and now in May I started working on the company, saved up here and there, and started Brick and Allied. So out of all this darkness came Brick and Allied, an entity that is very close to my heart and that really gives me hope and purpose in life. So Maxx in 5 to 10 years. That's a tough one. But anyway, I want to have expanded Brick and Allied. Brick and Allied really comes first in everything that I do. So I really want to expand Brick and Allied to not only serve Kenya as a country, but the larger Eastern Africa and Africa in general. So I really look forward to a time when we will be talking of Brick and Allied Rwanda, Brick and Allied South Africa, Brick and Allied Egypt. That is on the professional side. And I also aspire to be a registered quantity surveyor, really working hard on that. I am supposed to sit my papers this year, and I really hope that works out well. When it comes to the social aspect of life, I believe in the power and beauty of family. I'm African to the core, so this is something that is really close to my heart. So I believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, I will have settled down and probably get somebody to spend the rest of my life with, and I get babies as well. I believe that's a very beautiful aspect of life. I'm an uncle, and I see the joy that these kids bring to their parents. So I'll also want to be there someday. Being on set is actually quite exciting, but I was really nervous when we were starting off. But then thank God for good interviewers, and we have done this, and it's really exciting and eye-opening. I feel like this is a whole new experience for me. Yeah, challenges here and there, but at the end of the day, I think confidence carries the day. Yeah. So you can find Brick and Allied in any of our offices. You can come to Westlands, Mayfair Missionettes. You can come to Kamaki's RFH building, or you can also go to Chuka. But most importantly, you can visit our website on www.brickandallied.limited. You'll get to see some of the projects that we've handled. You'll also get to interact with some of the future projects that we intend to handle. And you can also reach us on email or on Instagram at Brick and Allied Limited, or on Twitter at Allied Brick Limited. And we can also come to you as a company or as a brand. We believe in taking our services to the client, so you can always give us a call, and we will come to wherever you want us to come to. We'll get to discuss your projects or collaborations also. And also don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to Businesses Africa. Thank you.